everybody. I am Ria, call sign N2RJ, and welcome to the Shack. Today we have a special guest, somebody who I've actually run into quite by accident because of my involvement with things in the league, and he kind of was reaching out for assistance with something. But then, I discovered something that he does that he does really, really well. And as a matter of fact, he inspired me to do some of my videos as well too. So you're going to hear his story. It's some really fascinating stuff. So I've had Dan Marler, K7REX, all the way from Idaho, in the northwestern United States here. And he is a very passionate operator when it comes to emergency communications. He thinks, his whole concentration on amateur radio is to help out others in times of need. I know recently we've had Hurricane Ida, and my thoughts and prayers for those in the Gulf Coast who are suffering the effects of Ida. I know it's pretty bad down there, but his threats from disasters up there are things more like earthquakes and probably wildfires and stuff. Maybe he'll tell us some more about that. So Dan, hello from New Jersey to you there in Idaho. How's it going?
Hi, Ria. Going very well, in fact. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. So tell me a little bit about how you got started in amateur radio. What motivated you to become a ham?
Back in the day, when the transistors were just coming out, my dad bought me a little transistor radio, and it had a shortwave band on it. It was the first transistor radio our family had ever had. And I was listening, and what I thought was a government station was actually an amateur radio station down the street from me, and he was directing a mobile into his house where he lived. And wow, so I decided to go down there and see what this was all about. And I saw what it was about, and I was hooked. And it's been that way since I think I was 11 years old when that was. I found myself a mentor and been in all different aspects of amateur radio. Enjoyed it very much. Met some wonderful people worldwide. It's been it's helped me with my career. It got me kick-started into my career. It's been a friend of mine and very beneficial.
What sort of career do you do?
Well, right now I'm a retired IT administrator.
Okay. Well, I do similar work. I do IT software and systems engineering, and believe it or not, amateur radio helped me pursue that basically. But I actually did a degree in electrical engineering, BSW, and that was inspired by amateur radio too. So it's pretty nice to hear that. And you lived in Idaho, or did you live in other places too?
I was born and raised here in Idaho through the military experiences, and I worked for several Fortune 500 companies. And through those two identities there, I've lived in California a lot, and I lived in Utah some, and mostly in Idaho, I guess. I've traveled all over the United States on business. In the United States, I don't think there's any one state that's less beautiful than the other, that is different.
Yeah, I know. Well, New Jersey is nice too, so maybe we'll see you somewhere here. Although some parts of New Jersey probably ain't so nice, but yeah, I love all of America, I'll tell you. So okay, so you've got into amateur radio, and I notice now you're heavily into emergency communications. And how'd you get involved in MCOM?
It kind of got involved with me. I started, back in the 80s, I was an SEC, and for the RRL, the Section
Emergency Coordinator.
That is correct.
Okay.
And Idaho doesn't have a lot of disasters, so we didn't have a lot of preparedness, and it became a full-time job. Fortunately, I worked for a company that gave me a company vehicle, and I took care of those days. I was in field service, and I took care of 4 states. I always arranged my preventive maintenance and such so I could travel Idaho and kind of promote the league and
right.
Disaster communications going better. And then it's just been in and out for me ever since. Now with RATPAC, it kind of came to me because I started talking to other hams, and I found hams everywhere have different needs. They have different interests, different passions. And the one thing that we have a lot of passion for, it seems, here in the United States is disaster services, communications, helping one another. And once I opened that door, it kind of flooded at me. And so I've been busy, very actively trying to find resources to help them, and as return, it helps me.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I'll tell you, here in New Jersey, we had our own share of disasters. We had, some years ago, we had Hurricane Sandy, but even like a few months ago, we had couple months ago, at the beginning of summer, we had thunderstorms that knocked out power. And I'm actually going to be doing a little segment in this video to tell you about an upcoming promotion we have with emergency power, but that'll be after Dan's thing.
Look forward for it.
Yeah, so okay, so that's so cool. All right, and you're Idaho section manager, and you bring together all the section manager. I remember running into you as, you know, you want to talk with the section managers, and then eventually, somehow in between, you began having interesting guests on, doing a little training presentations. So tell us about the training presentations, how you got the training presentations on board.
Well, to begin with, as a section manager, I went back to Newton. They always take the section managers back to Newton to introduce them to the ARL from the headquarters level. Wonderful experience. I've never done it, be there. Go, if you're ever in that area, stop by the league. They got a lot of good stuff there. But I realized as a section manager, I was brand new. And there's a lot of experienced guys out there that have been there, done that. And so I had this idea, and I went to my supervisor and I says, you know, I like to do this. He said, that's a good idea. So I put together a section manager's Zoom thing, so we could all get together and share our experiences, help each other, bring everybody on the same page, and so forth. That kind of got me started in this thing, and it moved from there. It was about that same period of time I was asked to do something similar for ARES, for Amateur Radio Emergency Service, and that's where I opened that door to disaster services and all they needed. One thing sort of led to another. It was an uncharted journey, and I just sort of hung on for dear life and see where this thing took me. And it did take me into what is now called RATPAC. And you see the logo behind me here, Radio Amateur Training, Planning, and Activities Committee. That name and that logo came in afterwards. And it really has nothing to do with the ARL. We don't speak for the ARL. However, we have a planning committee that's made up of ARL members, leadership, section managers like myself, section emergency coordinators, various other leadership, appointed leaderships in the league, and members. And together, we have a really good team, and we come up with a lot of good presentations. I'm very pleased with how it's working out.
Right. Yeah, and I've gotten inspiration, like I mentioned. So one of the most popular videos on his channel is the RF safety presentation. And I actually I took a bunch of notes when I was there, when Greg Lappin, N9GL, had his presentation about RF safety. And I said, hey, you know what? I got to make a video about that, because I think this is something useful that people could use. And boy, did it take off like wildfire. People really, you know, they began to say the information is very comprehensive and such like that. So I really have RATPAC to thank for that. And you know, it's been quite a interesting thing you guys have been doing. So you talk about MCOM, you talk about you know, the presentations, the learning presentations you have. Is there anything else in amateur radio that you do in terms of, you know, the hobby side of amateur radio? Do you chase DX, or do you get on local repeaters or anything?
Well, yeah, obviously I need to be with my membership, and that means going around to clubs. And lately, of course, with the pandemic going on, that's been a harder thing to do. But I'm a people person, just like yourself. I enjoy being around people, and you know, wherever I can help them, I help, and where I can learn from them. 3 years ago, I started Idaho's amateur radio ham fest.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
we had one for a while and it kind of fizzled out. And I said, nah, this can't go on. So we started that. Of course, we haven't had it because of the pandemic, but we'll get that kick started here soon, we hope. It'd be next June if we do. And there's a big hunger out there for amateur radio knowledge, both from hams and non-hams. Let me give you some examples maybe. When we do our presentations, I call somebody who's knowledgeable. I've called upon you. I've called upon many people to give presentations, share their knowledge and experience. That is a presentation that is recorded. And we have anywhere from, it could be anywhere from 50 to 150 people on the average one. However, when we go into, and then we post those, and we post them out there where everybody can get to and see them and such. And we have a lot of people. And in fact, we started using YouTube because of Japan. Japan asked us to use put them on YouTube because the language translation on there that they can have. So we're getting out there. On the disaster services side, to kind of give you a feeling here where the hunger is. The last Thursday's meeting, we had 330 people on that presentation.
Wow.
We're getting some of our hits that on our videos and stuff were exceed 1,000. We haven't got the numbers back from this last week's thing, but I expect it's going to do that as well. It's going to be it just keeps it going. And now that we're using YouTube, people will find this on there and subscribing. So I think we're doing a lot of good. And last week, and then what we're doing right now is a series is involving the agencies, having them tell us what they expect of amateur radio, what they need from us. And this week we're going to have FEMA on. We've had agencies on, and we have a series that's going on. And there's a big hunger for that out there. People want to know what they can do to be involved. They want to be, they're hams, and they want to help, and they want to do it in a way that it makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, admittedly, I got into amateur radio because I'm a nerd, and I build things, and my best friend sometimes is a soldering iron. I don't have one here with me, but I like doing that. But I was introduced to disaster communications. We had quite a number of different activations. We had New Jersey. Some parts of near New Jersey have a lot of floods, believe it or not. Because you have like a valley that goes down. Floods are a big thing. In one of the towns I actually am in a lot because I do church work there. And another place up where I live, we get ice storms. Like the ice comes and the power lines. These people, they plant their trees right next to the power lines for some reason, and then the ice gets on it, and then it comes down, and you hear, you basically see the lights blink once or twice because that's a recloser trying to open a circuit and burn off the branch or the errant squirrel or whatever that gets on it, and then eventually just gives up and the power shuts off. So, and that's something else. So yeah, that's pretty fascinating. There is a lot of thirst for learning, as you said, especially for personal preparation, not just serving your community, but also personal prepping and personal emergency communications.
Well, what is your passion? That's what boils down to. Amateur radio fills a void there for many passions. Yours was building. I certainly, I've been around the amateur hobby long enough that I built some of my own equipment. It wasn't great, but I got a lot of experience out of it. But there is so much where you want to chase satellites. You're involved with just so many different things. I call that big, huge pizza pie, and you pick out your slice of what you're passionate about at that moment in your life, and you chase it. And amateur radio gives you the opportunity to do it, to learn from it, be involved with it, and you share. You pick that up and you share it with other people's interests. As you go along in the hobby, you say, wow, I wouldn't mind doing this or that. And so you take out a couple more pieces of that pizza pie, and it just goes on and on. It's a tremendous hobby. It just got everything in the world to offer. I don't know Now with, they call it STEM in our schools program.
STEM or STEAM, yeah.
Okay, and there's tremendous parallels there into it. It's just something that you don't get to just read about it, you get to do it.
Right.
And that's great.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. So tell me, if you could name one or more of the most memorable presentations you've had on the RATPAC.
Ooh, that's a hard one. That's a very hard one. You have given us a couple of you did very good presentations, incidentally.
Thank you.
I have, again, we try to get people, our panel, we try to find the most qualified people for the subject matter. The subject matter or the topic usually comes from suggestions from the people or the people that are on there. They send us suggestions. We've got a tremendous list. I can show you our list. We're now filled up through October.
Wow.
Wednesdays and Thursdays, and they keep coming in, and it just keeps growing. People like to share. You get when you get on there, even I love your YouTubes. I really enjoy them. You're sharing. You're doing what you love, and you're sharing it so other people can enjoy it too. And that's what it's all about.
Right. So let's say a new ham. Okay, so give me a short elevator pitch for amateur radio, like somebody who is brand new. They're interested in radio communications for whatever reason. Maybe they're thinking that don't want to rely upon this thing, that this thing relies upon a cell tower that's owned by a commercial company that could go down. Or you have somebody who wants to build something, who wants to use tools and be good with their hands and such like that too. What would you tell somebody who wants, and you see this spark in them, what would you tell them about amateur radio?
Oh, first you got to get a sort of feeling, their age, their gender, their nationality. A lot of that takes place, and you just meet, and you can see it. And what you do is you see it in their eyes, you see it in their body when they're like on anything else. When I was a kid, cars were the big thing, and then later life it became computers and such. And when they talk about their passion, they light up. So when they're talking to you, it doesn't take long to figure out where their interest is going, what the like as they see. And so you head in that direction. You either give them some literature if it takes that, but more importantly, if you can show them, if you can give them that experience, however it might be beneficial to you. We've got a segment that we're working on now with RATPAC for youth, and we want to do it nationwide because in the larger cities, the communities like you're at there, a lot of that stuff is available through clubs, stuff like that. But you get in the rural area, there's a lot of youngsters out there that don't have the same opportunities, and they don't see the big picture. I mean, they have no reason to. And we want to bring that to them. So when you got an individual in front of you, which way do they want to go? What's their interest? What lit them up? Do they want to build something like you did? Are they interested in talking? Are they interested in digital communications, television communications? What are their interests? Get a feeling for it. Most of them just know that it's something that likes the light. They know there's something there. They're not quite sure it is. So you kind of help to kind of edge them along and get them going. But you got to stay with them.
Right. Okay. One final question, and then I'll let you get on to what's going on in beautiful Idaho. Here it's rainy New Jersey. We're getting the remnants of Ida.
We need some of that rain. Send some our way, please.
Tell me, amateur radio has a lot to offer in terms of traditional modes and digital as well too. Where do you see the new modes, all the new digital stuff, not only FT8, but also things like WinLink and such fitting into our whole disaster plan?
It's amateur radio moving forward. Back when I got started, probably when you got started, a lot of it was CW or voice. You picked up on you passed a message on the voice or CW, whatever. Digital communications is coming right into the modern era. So we have new ways of communicating, more accurate, air-free ways of sitting traffic and such. But we don't, even though we got all these nifty new ways and we need to be doing necessary, you can't let go our old ways. There, even if all you had, is a key and a oscillator of some kind to transmit with, you could still get a message out. And I'll share with you a short thing here about my own experience with my mother years ago. We were camping on a remote lake in Idaho, my mother and I alone, and she started having some health problems. Well, I had my amateur radio. I was a novice. I had my amateur radio station up there. Well, novices in the day could only do Morse code. They couldn't do voice except on VHF. Here I was in the mountains of Idaho, and I needed to get her help. And there was a net called the Farm Net 3936, still going today. And I said, how am I going to get the word out to them? And I take it back. I did not have my novice at that time. I just got my general class license. So having the knowledge I had, amateur radio operator, I took a set of headphones, plugged it into my phone jack of my transmitter. I didn't have a microphone, and I used that as my microphone. It was a poor microphone, but we got the help Mom needed. We got the medication to her. Amateur radio that day was credited for saving her life, but that's amateur radio. And so, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, Dan. And yeah, amateur radio does save lives in many more ways than one, because you remember last year, even this year, with all of the restrictions we've had, where I found generally that a lot of people use amateur radio to exit their social isolation. They would get on the air. We had welfare nets every night, and in a lot of regions here, and it was pretty nice. All right, well, thank you very much, Dan. I really appreciate it. And like I said, you're welcome anytime.
May I make a follow-up on this?
Absolutely.
Okay, you commented, you brought out your cell phone, and what can you do on amateur radio can't do on this? And I've heard this statement many, many times. You can talk over the world on amateur radio. You can talk over the world with this. This, you have to pretty well know who you're going to call. Who do you know in Japan, Germany, or anywhere else in the world you're going to call? You get on the radio and you say, CQ, and that's a national call for you want to talk to somebody, and presto, you are talking to somebody in this country you asked for, meeting somebody new, and you'll probably end up in a conversation that you would never dream possible otherwise, and certainly probably would not ever be possible with this thing here. It's a whole different experience. It
is, and I like especially that I don't need to, to pay a bill every month to use my ham radio.
That's correct.
All right. Even though the FCC, I might give them some ideas. Don't do it. All right. Thank you very much, Dan. Dan, I really enjoyed this, and you're welcome back anytime. For those of you watching along, it was very nice to have you. I will link the RATPAC YouTube channel on the bottom. Okay. I don't know how you can get in on the Zoom calls. I think the Zoom calls are like, with a small set of people, but YouTube is nice because, like you said, it translates, and I do closed captions on all my video for that reason, especially because, I get the following from places like India. I have quite a few viewers from India, and then Japan and other places. So the auto translates. So I actually generate my own captions, or if I have scripted video, I upload that. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Keep on hamming. 73.
73.
This is N2RJ and
K7REX. 73.
All right.